Now I would like to introduce Ms. Nami Park. KDVA and KUSAF have been very fortunate that Ms. Park has allowed us into her home and into her life so that we can learn more about her father in ways that are not in history books, movies, documentaries, or museums. With her also is her nephew, Captain Christopher Peck, who will also share stories about his grandfather. So, ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Nami Park with her opening remarks. Ma'am.
On behalf of my family, I would like to thank Korea Defense Veterans Association, Korea-U.S. Alliance Foundation, especially General Brooks, Colonel Steve Lee, and participants to put forth such an immense effort to celebrate my father's 100th birthday with great pride and humility. I would like to share a little about my father. I'm sorry.
It's okay,
He was,
ma'am.
he was always bigger than life to me. However, I always wondered how my father's life would be defined. In my opinion, my father's character is defined by his love of his country, his devotion to the Korean people, and his commitment to the alliance between Korea and the United States. Respect and personal honor were of most importance to him. In 1991, my father came to the United States for an official visit, and as usual, I accompanied him. One Saturday morning, he insisted on visiting his former US commander, his dear friend General Van Fleet. The only problem was we had no idea where he lived. The Korean embassy was closed. In a Google free world, the only information I could gather was that his home was in Polk City, Florida. In true General Peck's fashion, he said, "We must go now." So, with no address, no telephone number, and no advance notice that we were coming, we just went. Once we arrived at Polk City, it didn't took long to find General Van Fleet, since he was the most famous person there. Even a street was named after him. When we arrived at his house, he received in his wheelchair. The moment my father saw him, he saluted. I never saw him salute first or salute so quickly. General Van Fleet saluted him back. They hugged each other for a long time with tears in their eyes. No words were spoken. It was the most beautiful and heartwarming sight, to me at least. It was the ultimate expression of the bond we deeply cherish. We go together. 같이 갑시다. Any honors he has received, he accepted them not as an individual, but on behalf of all those who sacrificed to keep his homeland free. He accepted those on behalf of officers, men and women of Republic of Korean Army and United States Armed Forces who sacrificed their youth in the war, and to the officers, men and women from many countries who also sacrificed their lives in the war under the banner of a United Nations, and to the Korean people who suffered the hideous agonies of the war. These weren't mere words to him. During one of the many events commemorating the 50th anniversary of the Korean War, a very old lady came up to him and said that although her 4 sons had died in Korean War, she had to come to thank him for saving South Korea from communist North Korean invasion. She said that he was the country's hero and started to bow as a sign of respect. He stopped her and said that he should not be the one honored by anybody else. And in return, he said that she is the real hero for sacrificing her 4 sons, and he bowed to her, and it's heartwarming for me to realize that a mother losing her 4 sons and yet able to thank somebody else for it. And in 2013, my father at age 93 insisted on celebrating the 60th anniversary of Korean War armistice in Washington, D.C. I was surprised that he wanted to travel because I was worried of his health. So I asked him why it was so important for him to come to the United States. He looked at me and said, "Namhi, I think this will be the last time I can thank the United States in person." I was speechless. My heart sank, realizing that what he was saying about his life, and yet was also filled by understanding the depth and his gratitude that knew no boundaries. During that trip, we visited National Cemetery in Arlington National Cemetery to pay respect to his commanders and friends, General Van Fleet, General Ridgway, General Taylor, and General McCallus, to name few. And last year, in 2019, knowing it could be his last birthday, he insisted on spending that day at Dong Seoul National Cemetery. So we did. He was very proud of those men. He was very proud of the Korean Army and what they accomplished since. And he was confident that Korean Army will defend free democratic Korea in the future from any attacks. Many of you call my father a hero for his achievement. But to me, he is a hero because of his heart, his humanistic and empathetic heart to those he encountered, soldiers, comrades, civilians, young and old, and even his enemies. In 1949, 12 communist sympathizers were sentenced to death. My father told them, if any of them ever come to him and ask for forgiveness, he will pardon. With that simple promise, Lieutenant Commander Park Chung-hee was freed and later became president of South Korea. When he was faced with atrocities of war, resulting numerous parentless children, he founded Baeksan Orphanage in Gwangju, Jeollado, funded by Dr. Pierce of World Vision International. During Operation Red Killer in 1951, to minimize casualties of North Korean guerrillas and sympathizers hiding in the mountains and local civilians, my father used airplanes to scatter 10 million leaflets over Chiri mountain range. On these papers, my father gave his personal guarantee that anyone or group willing to come out of the mountains with these leaflets will be safe and unharmed. His actions saved countless human lives, friends and foe. You see, he never forgot that we are one nation, North and South. Many people have asked why he did not become a politician. He had his opportunities. During the Korean War, President Lee Seung-man asked him to become the Minister of Interior, but he declined. He even refused the course to become President of the Republic of Korea. He thought he would best serve the country being in the military. There were many occasions where he could have become rich too. Many businessmen asked him to go joint venture, including Coca-Cola and Japanese yogurt company Yakult. He still said no. You see why I'm so proud of my dad? Although I do wish that he haven't turned down that offer from Coca-Cola. I think my father's unnoticed accomplishment was his ability to successfully serve the government under 11 out of 12 Korean presidents. This was only possible because his loyalty wasn't toward a person, but to his country. He lived for one purpose: to establish and protect a free democratic country for all. In his own words, I quote, "Without my country, I cannot exist." During his 5 days of memorial service, thousands of dignitaries and friends came to funeral home. But most unexpected, amazing thing happened. Civilians voluntarily set up altars with my father's pictures and flowers so they could pay their respect. Hundreds of thousands of people came, lined up, waiting for hours in scorching July sun or in pouring rain in the middle of coronavirus pandemic at Gwanghwamun in Seoul and in many other cities throughout South Korea. It was then I realized that my father General Paik is defined by these people. My father claimed himself to be a simple soldier, but died as people's general, a savior of their country and their freedom, and his legacy will live on. I would like to take this opportunity to thank each and every person who paid their respect to my father from the bottom of my heart, and also like to express my unending gratitude to everyone that served alongside my father to protect and preserve the country he passionately loved beyond measure, Republic of Korea. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my father.